Good day, and welcome to another Bojinjin vlog. How you do? How you doing? In this entry, I wanted to talk to you guys about the topic that I tend to talk a lot about, and which kind of forms the central theme of these vlog entries, which is tapping into your sensitivity, right? And basically becoming back in touch with how you feel, right? And in previous entries, I've explained the benefits of doing so, right? When you tap back into your feelings, and you learn to interpret them, you're then in a much better position to lead a life that is centered around what truly makes you happy, what you're passionate about, and ultimately you'll develop a deeper sense of self-awareness and awareness in general, about society, about the world, about existence as a whole. And from that spawns a sense of inner peace, right? So, go back to my old videos and watch, all the videos to where I talk about tapping into sensitivity, because, I explain why. This often neglected aspect of, our lives is more or less a key to, to greater fulfillment. And if I want to go further, the evolution of human consciousness, I feel that we're at a time where human consciousness is high in some aspects, right? So it's kind of we've got the kind of mental side, kind of, well, not locked down, but it's getting there, right? And now we are looking to reconcile that with the side that we've neglected up until now, which is our feelings, right? So in this entry, I wanted to basically expand in the direction of a revelation I had recently regarding this, right? Tapping into your sensitivity. And basically what I realized was that I started to find myself falling back into the trap of kind of getting stuck in my head, right? Because what happens is, in the society that we find ourselves in, in our kind of very hectic daily lives, particularly if you live in, a place like London, where I live, everything's very kind of hectic, right? It's the hustle and bustle of the city, and people find themselves very stuck in their heads. Well, that's the thing. Many people, like the majority of people, they are not aware that they are unconscious in this way, right? They are not aware that they're stuck in their heads. And how this manifests is basically we find ourselves kind of stressed out, burnt out, unhappy, fearful, and generally just in a state of distress. But and towards that, we try to fix that, right? Because we're in a modern day and age where we're all about fixing things, providing these quick and effective solutions to things, right? So basically, we try to fix these things. But the thing is, we approach it from the perspective of basically doing things that we think, that we've been told, that we've been advised by either by other people, by society, or through media and stuff like that. What is supposedly good for us, and basically we attempt to do those things. And we might succeed for a while, but then we reach a point where it's like, oh shit, this is like, well, you either rebound back to, so say you're trying to correct a habit, or you're trying to basically fix an addiction you have, or some other problem area in your life, and it's going well for a while, this external solution that you found that makes sense in your head. But then after a while, you you find yourself rebounding, right? So you find yourself going back to whatever it is you were trying to correct, right? And then you beat yourself up about it, and you're like, I don't understand, you know, I followed everything, I followed the instructions, you know, I did what I was supposed to do, I did what I thought was good for me, but it didn't work out, you know, I rebounded, right? And the reason that this happens is because what you were trying to do was based off of an abstract approach, a symbolic approach that may have worked for someone at some time, but it is not actually right for you in the moment, right? Because these solutions, right, someone comes up, someone tries something and it works for them, right? And then they take that idea, that abstract idea, and they present it as a solution, right? And for the sake of ease of, you know, just ease of implementation, you know, people share these ideas and they try them for themselves, right? But you have to realize that just because something has worked for someone, or something is supposedly very healthy for you, that it may not be healthy for you in particular, as a person, or at the present moment, right? So basically, this is where tapping into your sensitivity comes into it, right? So I did an entry entitled, well, it was my logic versus emotion, part 3, right? And it talked about how there is difference between these two modes of perception that we have, logic and emotion, right? Emotion, which is the more archaic method of perception, modality, it is basically, it feels the flow of energy. So I discussed the nature of this universe, this fundamental nature of this universe, of this existence, which is basically the ebb and flow of energy, right? You know, fundamentally speaking, everything is just an expression of energy. So it's this energy that's constantly in motion, that's dynamic, right? And basically feeling is how we perceive this constant ebb and flow of energy. And so it is very in tune with the present moment as it unravels. Whereas logic is basically, it is the newer form of perception that we have, which basically takes snapshots and pieces these snapshots together, right, in a chronological order. And we project those both into the past and into the future, right? So it is a mental snapshot process, right? And that has its benefits, right? You know, look around you. In this society, you know, we can get from here to another country in like a couple hours, right? And it is so efficient at the things that it's good at, which is, you know, facilitating and optimizing and administrating, right? That's the power of logic. It's very efficient. But when it comes to accuracy, right? When it comes to basically helping you to fulfill your needs in the present moment, it's very lacking. Like I explained in that entry, you know, if we're not tapping back into our feeling, which feels for the present moment, then, and we're relying on these snapshots that we've accumulated and we're projecting, right? It's very easy to fall into a trap, right? To fall into a trap of using something that's inaccurate, because these snapshots, they're just snapshots, right? They don't necessarily correspond with the present moment. So basically, right, I caught myself, kind of just like basically forcing myself to do certain things, right? So, you know, like things like I mustn't do this. I mustn't eat junk food. I mustn't, you know, escape. I mustn't play video games. I mustn't watch pointless videos on YouTube, right? And to an extent, right, this is the thing, right? To an extent, those things are correct, right? Those observations are correct, in that in the long run, those things aren't you know, the most resourceful thing that you can be doing. But the thing is, those things spawn from a genuine need that has arisen within you, right? And if you're overly analytical about it, and you're putting your foot down and you're saying, I mustn't do this because it's bad for me, because this is what I believe, this is what I've been told, right? This is what has rung true for me in the past. You fail to acknowledge that there is a genuine emotional need behind the craving or the desire that you have, right? That you've placed a judgment on. And so basically, what I realized was like, I need to like, if I feel, well, if I'm rebounding, right? If like I'm binging on something, or if something goes wrong and or I feel shitty, then usually it's a sign that I'm ignoring my feelings, right? And I'm running on autopilot, right? So my mind is running what is basically has dominated my kind of actions. It's kind of, my thinking has taken over, right? And and that thinking has become incongruent with how I feel, and thus my true needs in that present moment. So basically, what I'm basically presenting you with in this entry is just the idea of, well, tapping into sensitivity, right? But moreover, tapping into sensitivity on a frequent basis, right? So, so kind of watching out for the trap of, doing things on autopilot, right? And making it a frequent practice to go into your feelings and scan for how you truly feel, and, thus interpreting your needs in the present moment, right? And another thing that comes from this is understanding that escapism, addictions, or actions that may lead to addictive behavior aren't necessarily bad, right? So this incorporates kind of flexibility of thinking, like I explained in previous entries. Understand that no single action is bad inherently. It's rather the emotional addiction, dependency that then develops to that thing that is the problem, right? So basically, so understanding, like, so basically developing a flexibility, well, in your thinking and in your judgments, to allow yourself to sometimes indulge your emotional needs, right? Even if they're pointing towards something that isn't necessarily healthy in the long run. But you have to realize that, like, you can't keep suppressing your emotional needs without it backlashing on you, right? Because ultimately, right, and I think this is probably, the core issue, the thing behind the thing when it comes to, addictions and just self-destructive behaviors like that, is when people, they try to impose these mental rules, these mental kind of dogmas on their lives, thinking that it's going to help them. So, like, for example, someone trying to lose weight, so they put themselves on a strict regime of a diet, and they keep rebounding, they keep binging, and then smashing down on the diet, and then binging and smashing down. It's because it's this kind of negative feedback loop where the emotional need is being suppressed whenever the mental, when the mind imposes itself. Like, it's being suppressed, and then eventually, when it can't be suppressed anymore, like it explodes, and then you find yourself, indulging, like craving and just stuffing yourself with whatever it is you're trying to avoid, right? And then after that, you feel guilty, and then you do the thing that didn't work in the first place, and you try to reimpose that same mental rule, right? And this is the trap that people fall into. They're insensitive, basically, to how they feel, to energy, and thus they keep going in these circles. And at the end of the day, it's only them that's a sucker, because it's like, I don't understand why this is happening to me. Well, this is why, right? So this is the idea that I'm putting forth in this entry, and it's something that I need to keep reminding myself to do, which is to not ignore my feelings, right? So, throughout the day, you have these routines, and you have these rules in place, right? And they are helpful to an extent, right? I'm not saying that like, mental projections are bad. It's just like when it's the point at which they become unresourceful, towards how you actually feel and, like, you know, your genuine emotional needs, right? That's the point where it crosses into, you know, unhealthiness. But basically, you know, have the routine, the healthy routines and the healthy rituals in place. But then basically, you know, make it a, you know, a frequent practice, you know, daily, hourly, whatever practice, to just go into your feelings, you know. Do I really feel like doing this? What do I truly feel like doing in this one moment? Oh, so I want to watch a pointless video on YouTube. Well, pointless. Or I want to eat a donut or something, you know, and then just think, okay, do I really want to do that? And then just go into the feeling. Okay, I want to do this. So I will indulge myself because I feel like I really want to do it. But once I've indulged myself, I will then take this action to correct it next time, so that maybe do something, maybe like just tweak what I do slightly, so that like the next time when need arises, you're doing something that's slightly more healthy for you in the long run, right? So for example, using the, you know, the donut example, right? I want to eat a donut right now. But I know it's unhealthy for me, but I really want to eat this donut. So, okay, I'll eat this donut. But after I've eaten this donut, I'm going to look for one healthy recipe online, and I'm going to learn to make it, and I'm going to implement it into my weekly schedule. So I'll make it once a week, right? It doesn't have to be massive, just something small, just a little tweak. And then basically it's this ongoing process of slowly aligning yourself to something that's more resourceful for you, more healthy for you in the future, but not ignoring your emotional needs in the moment, because that is the recipe for fucking disaster, right? So cool. That was my message in this video. It was a real eye-opener for me, when it always is, you know, when this kind of thing happens, you know. It's just the way it is, you know, you find yourself kind of ignoring the way you feel, and yeah, you know, it's best not to. So hopefully sharing this with you guys, it will help you out as well. So cool, that was it, and I will catch you guys in the next entry. Peace.